stick, a trekking stick, a hiking pole, whatever you want to call it. This is the Martial Arts Joe, which is the same length as most hiking sticks or hiking poles, which is why I like to train with it. I also hike with my Joe staff. So it doesn't matter what you call it. It's just a long stick that you might use to keep your balance, that you can use for self-defense while you're on the trail or just walking around the neighborhood. Starting with it in your hand in the traditional way that you carry it, so that there's a 90-degree bend in your elbow. The first motion that you can do is simply coming straight forward, almost like a punch right into his face for self-defense, because you're holding this hard piece of, this one's made out of hickory, this hard piece of hickory. As you step in and you strike, you're gonna accelerate the force of the strike and take what you have naturally, your strength of your body, turning through your shoulders and hips, and use this as a force multiplier to smash his teeth down his throat for self-defense. Hello, G. Carlton, it's good to see you. So this is stick fighting for self-defense using your walking stick. One of the reasons you might do that is that if he has a bladed weapon, you're going to have reach advantage. You're going to be able to hit him when he can't hit you. That's one of the best things about it. The other thing is, especially if you have some kind of weapon, your skin, your body is going to tear and rip and bleed. Hello, Doug, it's good to see you. And your stick is not. So this first motion, simply thrusting, turning your shoulders and hips like a punch to his face, driving this hard piece of wood through his teeth into his nose. Horace is here, good to see you, Horace, and Bilford, good to see you. Thanks for being here. So simply turn your shoulders and hips. If you turn your thumb down at the end of that punch, then you're gonna take the long side of the stick and smash him up across the side of his head or into his jaw, into his neck. Maybe that hand that's coming after you, holding that weapon, smashing that, simply by pushing and turning that thumb down. And you can learn how to do this very quickly in your garage, in the backyard, in the hallway, in the alleyway. Thanks, Doug, thank you so much for that. Super chat sticker, that super chat, simply by turning, you're adding that twisting motion, that spinning motion. David's here from Sweden. Hello, David. And now the long side, which has all the weight in it, has all the kinetic energy stored up there, releases as it comes across the side of his body. Again, you can hit him anywhere, and then you can also turn your hips, bringing it back, and smash him coming back this way. Now that's based on this figure 8 spin that you can also practice to increase the speed of that strike while you're building power in your grips. And I always recommend that you do it on both sides. And that's just, think about twisting side to side. Think about carving a figure 8 motion with your thumb. So you're just pushing down and pulling back, down and back. And that's that basic figure 8 motion. You can practice that on your own. Then if you have to use it, it'll come out more naturally and give you a few more things that you can do for self-defense. Yeah, Bilford says a little bit, or by far, like Kali, like Filipino martial arts, Kali, Salada, Eskrima, Arnis, any stick fighting technique. Also using martial arts staffs, you might see this. Sometimes people doing different kinds of tricks and spins, or nunchucks. It's just a figure 8 motion. Think about a sideways figure 8 or the infinity sign. We call that the infinity spin with those weapons. So first motion, punching, second motion, turning. You can also bring it straight up. So he's coming at you aggressively. You tell him back up, get away. Always give a verbal command, get your other hand up. You can now bring this, simply think about an uppercut coming up into his chin. Now if you're punching, you're gonna twist and you're gonna reach up and in at the same time. But here, just think about answering your phone. Bring your hand here, strikes him, maybe between the legs, maybe again, that's that arm. Now your hard piece of wood or whatever your walking stick is made out of, your hiking stick, breaks through that bone. Bring it up here, catch it with your front hand, and then you are pushing. Yeah, Doug says he used his hickory walking stick yesterday while he was walking, keep his balance on slippery pavement. So the point is, you're gonna have it with you. You might as well learn how to defend yourself with it just in case you need it. Bringing it up here, you can step in and thrust pushing your arms forward. And again, this is a force multiplier. That's why fighting with sticks, stick fighting for self-defense using your walking stick or your hiking pole is so effective. Smash him on the way up, catch it in the other hand, pushing through, smashing right through his teeth for self-defense. You can then slide your hand back. So your back hand is pulling, the front hand loosens a little bit. Yeah, Byfred said this gives it 2 hands on it, which if you're not as strong, gives you a better grip if you're not as strong. So you're pulling back and then turning, almost like you're coming down, a big slap across the side of his face for self-defense, pushing your hand, sliding it along the side of the stick, smashing through his teeth, through his temple, maybe breaking his collarbone, coming down into his shoulder, his arm, breaking the ribs, maybe coming down and striking, taking out his legs, taking out his knee. This simple angular strike with 2 hands based on this first, so you can punch, turn, answer your phone, smashing him, thrust, pull, push through here, coming down this way, and then taking this and smash. Yeah, Garen says that also by doing this, that will extend your reach. Byford says, good instruction, thank you. Yeah, so if you think about it, you have the reach advantage. Again, he's got this. I just sharpened it, it's really sharp again. It's because I've been using it so much the last few days. I dulled it up. Look how much longer that is. So you want to hit him before he hits you. Back in my pocket. Smash, push, pull. And then as Garen said, extending your reach. You can see if I just come forward, that much is forward between me and him. If I allow my hand to slide, now I've got almost the entire length. Now, one thing you don't want to do is bring your hands together, which creates a pivot point, just like in baseball. If you're hitting a baseball, this is perfect. You want to go through there. If you don't want to go through and expose your body to his blade as he comes in, then you bring it here, and that acts as a break. So as long as there's some space between your hands, that strike comes in, and then it stops right alongside his jaw, breaking the jaw, his teeth come flying out of his mouth for self-defense. So it's in your backhand, you have this thrust, you have the turning motion, answer your phone, thrust, pull, strike, step in with 2 hands and blast him right here, right through his teeth, through his nose, into his eyes, into his head. If you can control his head, you can control his body. Smashing here, you can also just do a quick, fast, explosive striking motion here. You can see you're always turning through your shoulders and hips, which incorporates or engages all the muscles in your core, your belly, your back, these powerful muscles, shoulders and hips, turning, striking so much harder. Now, let's say it's in your front hand. He's coming up to you fast. Again, backhand is up, tell him back up, get out of my face, you're too close. You can point your thumb at him, simply like that. Point your thumb at the threat. That throws it into your backhand. Point the thumb, and then step in with a thrusting motion. And like we saw before, you're allowing it to slide, which is increasing your reach, increasing the speed, increasing the power of the strike. Yeah, Doug said he worked out with his retired law enforcement friends. Doug's a former police officer, and they weren't able to get through his guard using his stick. Yeah, Doug says it's a little pugil training. Pugil sticks from the Marine Corps, especially. I don't know if the other branches ever default with that, but we always did. Michael, it's good to see you. Michael's here. So from here, front hand, to get it into the backhand, you point the thumb, throws it to the backhand. You're going to thrust. As you thrust, you're locking that front elbow, turning your hand over. That keeps it from collapsing. That becomes almost like a lock. This backhand is also turning. This spiraling motion is increasing the speed and the power of that strike, and also deflecting a little bit his energy. So you're pushing it in here, then you can pull this back here. So you're holding it here on the end, and then lifting straight up. Yeah, Garen says you can also use the back side. So think about bayonet strike and rifle butt strike. You can hit this guy here, you can hit that guy behind you, you can step forward, sweeping, smashing through, taking out his knee, sliding through here, bringing it up under his chin. There are a lot of ways you can use it if you just think about it. And you don't need tons and tons of training. If you do more training, you'll have more techniques, but the principles are what's more important. What's important is what can you remove or destroy? His ability to see, breathe temporarily, permanently, his ability to stand up and breathe, and his wind out, maybe between his belly button, his private parts. Maybe you're taking out his knee joint, taking out his elbow, breaking his forearm, smashing the wrist, smashing the hand. Yeah, Garen says, think in 3 dimensions. Excellent advice. Point the thumb, thrust, pull, punching. Again, there's that reverse punch coming from the back, which forces the back side through, slide. There's the front side. You can strike like this all day long, coming through, almost like Morgan from The Walking Dead. So if you've ever seen that TV show, the original series had this character called Morgan who learns how to defend himself with an Aikido staff, which is the 54-inch Joe. You usually measure it to about your armpit. But whatever you call it, hiking stick, hiking pole, martial arts Joe from Okinawa, Japanese martial arts, whatever you call it, it's just a stick that you keep your balance with when you go on a walk, whether it's in the neighborhood, on a city street, or out in the woods. And I put a link in the description if you want to see what these cost and get your own. All right, so front hand techniques, we point, we thrust, pull, we have that lifting up under his legs, bringing your other hand to the opposite side of your body so you can bring another strike, or you can bring it to the same side of your body. And you can also bring it back down here for another thrusting strike. So thrusting, pull, punching with the backhand, taking his knee out, going into the ribs, breaking the arm, smashing the face, coming down like you're chopping wood. And you can see every time you're sliding your hand as it comes through to increase the speed and the power and the strength of that strike, while also increasing your reach. So you can hit him before he hits you. Smashing here, holding it here in this split grip, punching straight through his teeth, his nose, his eyes, his chin, into his throat, pushing him back. You can now box his ears, smashing both sides, take his knees out, coming down over the top of his head, coming up under his legs, stepping in with that rifle butt strike, or lifting him up off the ground with that bayonet thrust, coming straight up here like a spear. Just a simple way to use these. Mr. Almighty, Cornholio is here. It's good to see you. Now, I do want you to improve the strength of your grip. And I waited till the end. I wanted to show you the techniques right away in case you need them. But this is a good way to warm up when you start to train. Now, you can say, well, I'm not going to warm up before I defend myself. Of course not. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying warm up in training. Learn how to fight with this stick. Then you can fight with all kinds of sticks. So you're just turning your hands for self-defense, building power in that forearm. You can see every time it comes to a stop, my muscles are working. You're gonna get stronger this way. Then you do it in the other one. Robert says, have a blessed day. Have a blessed day yourself, Robert. Thank you. Captain Dars in Minnesota, or Minneapolis. Hello, Captain Dar. I lived in South St. Paul for a short period. Loved the Twin Cities. Got up to Mankato a lot. Went up for the Northern Lights, all the way up into the lakes regions. I can't think, it was 1,000 lakes, 1,000,000 lakes, something like that. There's a lot of lakes in Minnesota. Once you do this for a while, then you're gonna bring it from one hand to the other hand. This will increase the reach of that spin, which means your wrists are gonna stretch more. You get more power in your forearms. You come side to side. Once you've done those 2 spins and you're warmed up, put it on the ground and then go into your figure 8 where you're using the long side coming out of your pinky. Shamgar from the Bible. Garen says, remember Shamgar from the Bible, remember to fight for self-defense with your staff. Staffs are all throughout the Bible too. One of the original self-defense tools that we were blessed with. Because it's a big stick. Put the stick between you and him, and then hit him with it for self-defense. Put in the other hand, same thing, increasing the speed of your strike. And as I said before, he's coming in really fast. Put your hand, hey, you're too close, and then just bringing it out, turning that pinky up, let the stick do the work. It's gonna follow through. You bring it back, you hit him twice, bring it up between his legs, thrust, pull, strike here, step in, punch, box his ears, take out his knees, changing grip, thrusting, punching, either at an angle, straight up, horizontally, coming down, chopping wood, thrusting again, punching, and you're just doing these basic. The ox bone. Yeah, I forgot that. You can also spin it through your fingers. And the purpose of this, you've never used this for self-defense. This is just training, and this is going to keep your wrists, forearms, your elbows free from pain because you're flexing and extending at the same time. You're opening and closing your hands as you run that staff through it, which is going to give you a more powerful grip while keeping you safe from any kind of overuse injury that you might develop. Now, I do also want to show you changing your grip. You might have it here, hit this guy, and you have to turn and hit this guy, but now you want to change your grip to hit that guy, and then you're over here. So the way you practice that, yes, the Lord's Prayer. Garen's taking us to church today. I don't mind. We go to church in the morning. Sometimes people go to church Saturday night. Some people go Saturday morning. We're in the Old Testament today with Garen. That's good. All the good stuff. All the good, eye for an eye, and pick up the ox jaw, the jawbone, and the stories of Samson ripping down and smashing, and that is all in the Old Testament. Yeah, and you don't have to go to church. That was a joke between Garen and I. Yeah, Cornholio says he doesn't go to church, but he likes the instruction. Yeah, and you can praise God. I'll praise God. You don't have to. Garen's just pointing out the martial arts in the Bible, and my opinion on that is that God gives us the right to self-defense and the tools, and it's our duty to protect ourselves, our families. And always remember, Jesus said, turn the other cheek. And he said, love your enemies. He didn't say love his enemies. His enemies are evil. So you're not supposed to love evil. You're not supposed to love the enemy, the bad guys, the really evil ones. He's talking about get along with your brother at the Thanksgiving table. All right, Tyshawn's been working on his bow staff, excellent. A lot of these techniques can be used with bow staff. This motion here just allows you to go from here to here, so you're evenly, without ever taking your hand off your staff, able to hit them and smash, and then put it in the other hand with the other hand forward. And you can do that just by practicing the small motion. If you want to get more fancy, and bring it all the way out to the sides and challenge yourself to grow. I'm not as smooth as I once was. That's that Toby Keith song. Not as good as I once was, but good once as I ever was, or something like that. I don't know if that's true. I don't know how that works. Sounds good in the song. Rest in peace. Lost so many people in the last few years, haven't we? Anyway, we're going side to side, sliding. And what that does is that allows you, then when you're fighting, to have a feel for where your staff ends, and you can move it through. Yeah, Buffett says he likes the extension from either shoulder. Another thing I like you to practice is if you start with a hand on each side, lift the back hand, make sure it's in your center of your body, center line, bring it through in a strike, slide it down, lift that back hand up, strike, lift the back hand, and as you get better at this, try not to bring your hand out to the side, but more straight up. So it's coming up, overhead. And what this will do It's gonna burn out your shoulders. You're gonna feel this in your chest. It's gonna cause you to suck your gut up and in, pull your belly up and in, improving your posture. But it's also gonna make your strike so much faster and harder, whether you're using a stick in your hand or your palm or your fist or your elbow for self-defense. You're gonna be able to knock somebody out. Yeah, Garen says use it like a wrist roller for opposite hand resistance. More excellent advice. That's the best thing about this channel. You put in the comment section, not just the chat, but in the comment section, all of your tips and tricks and things that you've learned, because a lot of you have trained as long or more than I have, and you have your own perspectives and your own understanding. And it's not good or bad, it's different, right? That's what I learned along the way. Now I'm 53, I started martial arts at 9. Yeah, Taishim says karate's fun. What I find so fun about martial arts is that, Garen says also builds your callus. You learn along the way if you have an open mind. And that's hard because there's so many small-minded, closed-minded masters, gurus, sifus, professors, whatever they call themselves, high-ranking black belts, low-ranking black belts, high brown belts, high blue belts, purple belts, I don't care what they are. And they repeat things that they've heard, and they're not necessarily true, and sometimes they're hypercritical about other styles that they might not be familiar with, or they think they're familiar with, and then they say blanket statements and vague platitudes like, this style is better than that style, and that style is just for show, and you can't defend yourself with such and such, and this and that and the other thing. And they say things like that, and they don't know. I can't tell you how many times people say, oh, that stuff you're doing is phony and fake, and you can't ever defend yourself in a fight with that. And I think back, well, I've used a lot of the things that I've trained with since I was 9 in fights, and I've seen it works. I've been around so many fights, and I've seen other people use it, and not just in TV shows, not in the movies, but in real fights. And that doesn't mean that one style is better than the other. It always comes down to the person, their intent, who moves first. There's a little bit of luck in there, who's better shape, who has wind at the end, and who's just maybe mentally, they understand what violence is. And then they go faster, they go harder, they hit the right spot. And there's no hard and fast rule. And so what you learn in martial arts is if you take this open-minded approach, and Bruce Lee had some saying like, take what's good and bad and leave what's bad, or something like that. Learn everything, keep the good, get rid of the bad, something like that. He says, and you guys can put that in the comment section if you know what the real quote is. But my quote, the thing that I came up with and I always say to people is, it's not good, it's not bad, it's simply different. So you can say, he said, be like water, my friend. He said that too, but he was also talking about learning from this and learning from this, taking a little bit here and there. Now, I would say that I think you should spend a little bit more time learning something to the level of basic mastery before you jump into the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. Yeah, absorb what is useful, discard what is useless, add what is specifically your own. Bruce Lee, thank you. So the point is, stop having such strong opinions. It took me forever to learn that. I may have made fun of people more than anybody else when I was young and stupid because I truly didn't understand. As I got older and started to learn the easy way and the hard way, the easy way is when you listen to someone else who knows more than you do. The hard way is when you get your face punched, or get knocked out, or you get your nose split, or you get your teeth loosened and your gums bruised, and you think one of them's going to fall out. You get hit enough in the right way that it wakes you up here because your head's so thick, and you realize, oh, I thought I knew everything, but I didn't. And so what you start to do is you let go of your ego and your need to believe that one thing is better than another, because it's not always. And anything that's the whole concept of, in Korean they call it and yang, in Chinese and the Japanese, the yin yang. Most people are familiar with the yin and the yang, and it looks like the two sperms that chase each other, whatever they are, those two half moon, half circle things, and they have a little dot of each other's color. It's usually blue and red, or it's black and white. It's blue and red in the Korean flag, it's black and white everywhere else that I've seen it. But that's that balance. Things go so far one way until they stay correct and they whip back the other way. We just saw that in an election. Things go so far in one direction and then there has to be a correction. And that's what keeps nature in balance. And you can have things go crazy, 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 but then eventually everything's gonna fall and drop and break, and it's gonna go here, and then it's gonna be here for a while, and it's gonna be okay and easy. We have a nice life, and then it's gonna go crazy over here, and then again, it's gonna do this constantly. That's that whole yin yang, male, female, positive, negative. Yeah, pendulum swings. But the point is, for us, if we're serious about self-defense or martial arts, or just being a less angry person, you have to let go of your biases and your hard fought things that keep your mind closed and say, maybe I don't know everything, and be willing. And some things will still be goofy. You'll still see them and think, that's stupid, that's ridiculous. And you don't have to accept everything. That's the beauty of it. But you don't have to immediately just dismiss it out of hand. Some things you can. They're obvious, and the person you can tell is cheating and they're lying, or they're trying to trick people, try to take their money out of their pocket by lying to them, like the Dim Mak stuff. But other things you can say, well, maybe there's some truth in there. And so instead of having so much strong opinions on things, you say it's not good, it's not bad, it's different. And I might not understand it yet. It might take me forever to understand it. I was talking to someone about shooting recently, and something I had never heard of before. And he was an instructor, and he comes from a different, like I've always done military shooting instructors at the highest level. I've had some great coaches. And then what he was saying did not come from that realm. He was coming more from the law enforcement side. And I've always just dismissed, well, law enforcement guys, they can't shoot as well as the operators who are kicking in doors in Afghanistan and Iraq and all that stuff, Syria. But then what he said, and then I tried it, I'm like, oh, I have a new tool that I can use, something I didn't even think about. And he's absolutely right. Once I tried it, got immediate feedback. And then I saw later how they're really the same thing, but I was looking at them from two different perspectives. And it was my own ego and my own arrogance that was in the way. So the point is, just adopt that saying, it's not good, it's not bad, it's different, and then learn from everything, including yourself. Don't let anybody dismiss you as a person. I don't care if it's your first date or your millionth. There's always something that you can discover simply by freestyling and messing around and trying things and coming up with your own techniques. Now that doesn't mean that they're always going to be the best techniques, and you might think that they're unique and you invented it, and then you realize, oh, everybody else has been doing it for thousands of years. But don't discount learning by doing. That's another important thing that I think we have to understand in martial arts. You got to do stuff, and so many people are afraid to start because they're not going to look good or they're not going to do it right. But just pick it up. Don't let anybody else's opinion get stuck in there in your head. It doesn't belong there. You guys have been awesome. I'll see you. Thanks again, Doug, for that super sticker. Yeah, Doug said he learns more in point shooting than using the sights. In other words, Doug and I probably are experiencing the same thing where I can't see what I'm aiming at. I can see what I'm aiming at, but I can't, everything's blurry when I look through my sights. Back sight, front sight. I don't use a red dot. I know a lot of people do. I've heard it. That's the next thing I might try. But if I have great control and I know, and I point, I'm gonna hit wherever I'm pointing at because I practiced so much and I have so much, all my other mechanics are right. You can learn that, and that's true for self-defense too. You get your mechanics right, you can lose speed, you can lose power, you can lose your accuracy, your vision. But if your fundamentals are still there as you age, which you can be because you can work on your fundamentals all the time, you're still gonna knock somebody out when you have to for self-defense. We had a golfer get beaten to death just less than a mile this way. The kid that did it, totally random, was on his bike. He wasn't a kid, he was a young man, out of his mind, and he could have kept riding. My kids were outside playing, taking laps around the neighborhood on their bicycles and stuff. And I think about that a lot. You never know when it's gonna happen. And this guy minded his own business. But the other part of the story that I don't know if it'll come out in the media or not, is there were 4 young men who called 911, but also videotaped and did nothing to intervene. And it was like that poor girl in Georgia where that horrible demonic possessed human being attacked her for 18 minutes straight until she finally succumbed to the injuries. This guy was attacked for a period of time where somebody could have intervened and saved his life if only they had done some training. So we're training for ourselves, we're training to protect our family, we're training in case no one else is there to save someone else's life, and you see it and you understand that it's a horrible situation, and instead of freezing out of fear and videotaping or camera phone recording, you can actually step in and save a life. So keep training, train with sticks, learn how to defend yourself. I think sticks are one of the best force multipliers. As we get older, you can pick up a lot more power when you have a stick in your hand. Yeah, Doug says it, but people are afraid to man up. And Cornholio said, Teddy Roosevelt, speak softly, carry a big stick. I believe in that. Amen. We'll see you guys in a little bit. Next thing we do, we're going to talk about that situation with the golfer and maybe something we could do if it happened to us. And I know a lot of the inside story that I can't really talk about, but it gives me a little insight into something that you and I could do or somebody else could do to keep themselves safe. So we'll talk.